The boy had just opened his eyes and found a wolf staring at him intently. But instead of running away, he believed that this wolf might be his hope because in the wild 20,000 years ago, it was very difficult for a young person with no survival experience to stay alive. Then the boy poured the hard-earned water into a bowl and carefully moved forward. To show his good intentions, he even lifted the bowl to his mouth to demonstrate. But the wolf, instead of appreciating it, took a stance as if ready to attack, scaring the boy into quickly reassuring the wolf, saying, "Don't bite me, I won't harm you." After saying this, the wolf miraculously calmed down. Seeing this, the boy quickly moved his body closer to the wolf and slowly pushed the bowl towards its mouth. The wolf, having not eaten for days, could no longer resist and started drinking the water in big gulps. Then the boy used his clothes to clean the wolf's wounds and treated its festering skin using methods taught by his mother. He even fed the extra insects to the wolf, while he only ate 1 or 2 leftover ones. Little did he know that this unintended act of kindness would change human history for tens of thousands of years. One day, they finally spotted some wild boars, and the hungry wolf immediately charged out. After a scream, the injured wild boar entered their encirclement. But in the next second, the boy was directly knocked over by the wild boar. Seeing the meat slip away, the wolf was deeply frustrated and turned to stare intently at his pig teammate. The wolf was deeply frustrated and turned to stare intently. The wolf was deeply frustrated and turned to stare intently at his pig teammate. The wolf was deeply frustrated. The wolf was helpless, but had no choice. He could only rely on his superior hunting skills to fill his stomach. Although he did most of the work, the distribution rights were always in the boy's hands. However, the wolf didn't mind this. He just wanted to quietly lie beside the boy after he had eaten and drunk his fill at night. But even this small request was ruthlessly rejected by the boy, who had a cleanliness obsession. However, the clever wolf did not give up easily. He waited until the boy fell asleep, then quietly lay down beside him. In the morning, he would use his sticky tongue to wake him up. The boy had no choice but to take the wolf to the river for a bath. But no matter how he called, the wolf was unwilling to go into the water. Thus, the once ferocious wolf now seemed to have turned into a cute dog. The boy named the wolf Alpha and introduced himself as Aji. Winter came in the blink of an eye. The roads were covered with snow, and food became increasingly difficult to find. But thanks to Alpha's superior hunting skills, the boy could still eat wild boar meat. However, happy times are always short-lived. One night, after they had eaten and drunk their fill and were resting, Alpha suddenly let out a strange low growl. Realizing there was danger, Aji quickly grabbed his weapon and prepared for battle. In the pitch-black night, a shadow emerged. Alpha immediately went out to confront it. Just when Aji thought a fierce conflict was about to break out, Alpha and the shadow started communicating. After a brief exchange, the black wolf led the pack away into the endless night. Alpha turned back to look at Aji, letting out low whimpers. Although he was deeply reluctant, Aji understood that it was time to part ways. But when he realized that his old companion was really leaving, Aji's heart ached as he watched Alpha's gradually disappearing figure, unable to forget for a long time. From then on, he whistled while traveling, hoping that Alpha would hear and follow. Without Alpha's company at night, he tossed and turned, unable to sleep. One day, while traveling alone, Aji suddenly spotted a wolf pack foraging, and it seemed like Alpha was among them. Aji was very excited and quickly ran towards them. From a distance, he kept calling Alpha's name. However, he didn't notice a weak spot on the ice, which suddenly cracked, causing him to fall into the icy cold lake. Although Aji tried to swim to the surface, before he could move his arms, he was swept away. Just as the struggling Aji felt hopeless, Alpha arrived in time and spotted him through the ice. To save Aji, Alpha leaped into the air, trying to break the ice with his weight. Inspired by Alpha, the nearly exhausted Aji took out his small knife and fiercely struck the spot where Alpha had just stepped. Finally, with their combined efforts, the thick ice was broken by the knife. Seeing this, Aji quickly stuck his head out of the water. Alpha then bit his clothes and dragged him out. After being saved, Aji lay on the ice, gasping for breath. Although Alpha tried out to warm him with his tongue, the little heat was like a drop in the ocean for Aji's rapidly cooling body. After regaining some strength, Aji quickly took Alpha away from the ice to find a place to live. Once they found a spot, he took off his wet clothes and laid them on the snow, then tightly hugged Alpha to warm his nearly frozen body. One day, they unexpectedly found a person sitting quietly outside their house. Aji was very excited and ran towards him, greeting him from afar. But upon closer inspection, the person was already frozen, and after searching the old man's house, they found nothing useful. Aji was devastated and vented his frustration on the things inside the house. Unexpectedly, he suddenly coughed up blood, scaring him into stopping immediately. It turned out that after falling into the icy water, he was severely injured, and there was no way to treat it now. Fortunately, with Alpha by his side, never leaving him, Aji regained the confidence to go home. So, he took the bow and arrow left by the old man and continued on his journey. However, not long after, a blizzard began. Worse still, when Aji looked back, he saw a pack of hunting dogs coming towards them. Seeing this, Aji quickly took Alpha and ran away. Fortunately, the visibility outside was low, providing them cover. At the last moment, they hid in a secret cave. Just when Aji thought they were safe, Alpha sensed danger. Right in front of them, a dark figure emerged from the pitch-black cave. In the next second, it lunged at Aji. Fortunately, Alpha reacted in time, disregarding the danger and standing in front of Aji. Then, Alpha started fighting with a saber-toothed tiger several times its size. But how could a weak wolf stand against a tiger, skilled in combat? Seeing that Alpha was about to be bitten to death, Aji made a desperate move and shot an arrow at the saber-toothed tiger. After a miserable cry, Alpha luckily walked out, but in the next second, Alpha collapsed heavily to the ground. Seeing Alpha, who was covered in wounds from the saber-toothed tiger while saving him, Aji felt very distressed. As time passed, Alpha could no longer hold on and eventually collapsed. Seeing this, Aji wanted to encourage Alpha, but no matter how he tried, Alpha lay motionless on the ground. So, despite his own injuries, Aji picked up the several hundred-pound Alpha and struggled to walk home. When he was completely exhausted, he held Alpha and slept in the snow. However, not long after, he too could no longer hold on. He fainted. In his dream, his mother told him to be strong and to live bravely. Encouraged by his mother, Aji woke up instantly. In the end, with extraordinary perseverance and determination, Aji carried the severely injured Alpha back home. Seeing his son, who had lacked survival experience since childhood, return alive after falling off a cliff, his father was incredulous, and his mother was too emotional to speak. She thought she would never see her son again in this lifetime. However, at this moment, the extremely weak Aji ignored his own condition and struggled to lift his hand, pointing to Alpha, who was lying on the side, barely alive. Soon, they were taken into a warm room. Under the shaman's treatment, Aji woke up, but Alpha remained motionless. Then, to everyone's shock, the shaman extracted a small Alpha from Alpha's body. Thus, the first dog in human history was born. It was only then that Aji realized that Alpha was pregnant while fiercely fighting the saber-toothed tiger. In the end, Aji successfully became the leader, and as the group of little Alphas grew up, humans would always take dogs with them whenever they went hunting.